I'm Trent, and this is Vision Preparedness. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mayhemic Thursday. Yeah, the world still burns. The United States is smoldering, burning. You name it, it's happened probably. And if not, give it 24 hours and it will. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. For dealing with PTSD during SHTF, and we have our resident professional. If you don't know him, you will after tonight. Welcome, Sarge. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Trent, and thanks for bringing some more attention to this topic. I think it's super important that we talk about this. It's one of those topics that's probably not getting enough coverage in the prepping community.
You're more than welcome, and I couldn't think of a better person to talk about it. So before we dive into it, give the folks some of your background and all that good stuff, Sarge.
Sure. So I'm Tom Sarge. I'm a trauma therapist by trade. My primary population is first responders, and I also work with some combat veterans. Been working in the field for actually going on 28 years now. And I'm also a prepper. Grew up. My father was an 82nd Airborne, and he taught me a lot of wilderness survival stuff. And my mom was a gardener, so I learned a lot about plants from her. So I do a lot of gardening and foraging and that kind of stuff. And on my channel, we talk about all three of those things and a little bit of financial preparedness as well. Specifically, I really like silver and gold, but we talk about some other stuff too, just because I think being a little bit mindful of how money, whether it be gold, silver, dollars, or real estate or assets or whatever, how that can have some worth to you and how you can use that, whether it be in short term, long term, or SHTF, or in retirement. If hopefully none of these horrible things happen, then you want to be in a better position to be prepared for retirement as well.
Absolutely, and Sarge, I keep telling myself I've got 5 years left, and I'm going to retire. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see myself ever like fully retiring unless I was physically incapable of work anymore. But I will certainly, when the age and time comes, I'm going to slow things down for sure.
Yep, same here. And you get that little letter from Social Security and says, "Here, you're this age, and if you retire now, you can get this much. But if you work a little bit longer, we'll throw a few more pennies at you."
Well, when not to get too far off of our topic tonight, but one of the things that we talk about in therapy is that when you get into retirement, if your plan is to sit on a rocking chair and watch the squirrels, you're going to deteriorate fast because it's not enough mental stimulation. It's not enough physical stimulation. So nothing wrong with retiring from your job. I hope everybody can get to do that at some point, but have a plan of how you're going to stay active. That's super important, super critical.
Absolutely. And welcome in everybody. And I'm going to do a round welcome in to everybody because I want this topic to be amazing, and I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. So Sarge, let's do a quick recap of the last time we met 2 weeks ago. We talked about during an SHTF event, no matter what it is, but when it affects you, you're going to deal with some PTSD. Correct?
Yeah, not just for probably for ourselves, but also for everybody around us that we care about. And Obviously the more severe the situation, the worse that's going to be. And I know we all have, in the prepping community and in the survival community, we all think we're, Mr. Tough Guy. It wouldn't affect me. But the reality is, guys, I've worked with special operators. I've worked with infantry. I've worked with some of the hardest people that you can imagine. And it's not a matter of like how strong you are. It really isn't. Whether or not you get affected by an incident and you pick up symptoms from it, it's so complicated. I probably, even if we spent the entire hour just talking about that, I wouldn't be able to fully hit that topic. But the short, very, very short explanation of it is going to be how you connect to the incident is important, and what you were thinking in that moment and then after the incident about yourself, specifically about yourself. Okay. So, one example that I use often is if you and I are firefighters and there's a burning building and we go in there and we realize, oh, there's dead bodies in here. We got to get these bodies out. And then we get them outside. We realize one's a little girl. Now, I might have a little daughter at home. You don't, right? I've
Right.
now connected with this in a way that you haven't. That
Right.
might be the thing that starts it for me, right? Or maybe I start thinking like, what if we had gotten here 5 minutes faster, right? What if
Yeah.
we had gone left instead of right, right? That
Yeah.
kind of stuff will start making it what we call in the field sticky. So it gets like
Mhm.
sticky in your brain and it's
Mhm.
not getting processed out the way that it's supposed to. That's what starts it. So a lot of people will think like, oh, the gore, right? Like, oh, you saw somebody's head get blown open or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Nobody should see that stuff. But that's not what causes the symptoms. It's how you connect to it and how you're thinking about yourself in relation to that incident. Now, that's an oversimplified explanation, but again, I can't take the whole hour just on that piece.
Correct.
Yeah,
And that was a great synopsis. Um, we talk about SHTF in the prepping community sooner or later, period.
yeah,
And we were backstage talking about Hurricane Katrina
yeah.
and how that affected so many people. I can only imagine what the fallout of that was, especially if you lose immediate family, relatives, neighbors, people that you know.
Right.
How is that going to affect me the rest of my life?
Well, there's still a lot of people that are dealing with PTSD from Hurricane Katrina and more
Hmm.
recently Hurricane Helene.
Hmm.
And it doesn't even have to, yeah, certainly watching people die is going to increase that factor, that likelihood is going to increase. But it all it has to be really is perceived that you are about to die or somebody around you is about to die. That can be enough to get things started. Okay. And so typically, so what happens is when you're in an emergency like that, the part of the brain which regulates your fight, flight, freeze, which is like back here kind of, and it
Hmm.
starts in the part of the brain is that where it starts is the amygdala.
Hmm.
Whenever you're in a situation where you're perceived that you're in danger or somebody else is in danger, it's going to get activated, and it's going to give you some adrenaline and some other neurochemicals that are going to make you stronger, faster, more resilient to pain. But it can also have some side effects. It's not, that part of the brain's not great about processing memories. So
Hmm.
it takes all that data of everything that's happening. And then when the emergency's over, it tries to send it back up to the higher brain. If you want to think of it like up here is the higher brain, which
Okay.
is normally where your memories are going to get processed. Okay. So right
Gotcha.
now the survival brain took over to keep people alive, and
Hmm.
then and then when it's over, it sends it back up to the higher brain. The higher brain is going to take all that information. It's going to try to send it to memory. Okay, it's going to try to put it away, basically put it on a shelf.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
that usually happens. It starts to happen that first night when you go to sleep. Okay,
Hmm.
so if you process it correctly, and again, this is not a matter of strength or anything like that. It's not that like
Hmm.
I'm stronger than Trent or Trent's stronger than some special forces guy. It doesn't work like that. But whatever you went through during the day, it's going to try to start to process it when you go to sleep. And if it does
Okay.
correctly, you might have a bad dream, but you're probably, after that, it's just going to be like a bad memory. Okay, it's going to be like, yeah, this horrible thing we experienced, but we're alive. It's a bad memory.
Okay.
For people that don't process it correctly because it got a little sticky, it
Mm-hmm.
gets stuck up there and it doesn't get processed, and it doesn't get to what we call in the field adaptive resolution. Okay.
Okay.
So now it's stuck, and and guess what happens when it's stuck? It's going to try again to process it. It's going to try again, and it's going to keep trying, because the brain, when you have a nightmare or a flashback,
Mm-hmm.
it's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to heal you, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't, it's not a good experience. But all that's happening is your brain's trying to process it again and trying to make it go away. And it's not getting there because it's stuck. Okay.
Gotcha.
Does that make
Okay.
sense so far?
Absolutely. That
Okay.
so basically what it's doing is if it doesn't process it correctly, it replays it
Again and again and again. And it's going to
again
keep
and again
trying.
and again until it processes it
Yep.
correctly.
Yep. Yep. And
Wow.
as a therapist, that's what I'm trying to do, is to go back into these memories with people and to get it unstuck. Okay. So there's different techniques that we have on that. But the
Mm-hmm.
most simplified explanation that I can give is I have to get that person to think about it differently. Okay. I,
Ah,
I can't change the past. I,
right,
I tell my patients all the time, if I could do that for you, I would, but I can't do that.
right.
But what I can do is help you think about it differently. And if I can get you thinking about it differently, what will happen in the brain is you'll start to
Uh-huh.
form a new neural connection. Okay. So
Okay.
if you ever seen those videos of those like brain cells that are like connecting to each other,
Yes.
that's exactly what we're trying to do. Okay.
Okay.
So we're trying to form a new neural connection where the person doesn't think, what if I had gotten to that fire 5 minutes faster? But instead they're thinking, I did the best that I could, and unfortunately we didn't win this battle, but we
Right.
did our best. We were the best
Mhm.
firefighters that we possibly could have been.
Right.
Okay. So if I can
Yeah.
get them, and it's not enough for me to say that, I say that all day
Right.
long. That's not going to do it. They have to believe it. That's
Yeah.
the key. Okay.
Right.
That's
So once they believe it, it gets processed correctly.
that's when the healing starts, and that's when
Okay.
it's going to start to hopefully get unstuck and get processed again, moved out
Mhm.
of that working memory part of the brain. And then, because it's a part of you, it's a memory, it still can get activated from time to time and get re-triggered, but
Right.
its symptoms are probably going to go way down. Sometimes they get basically non-existent, so that the person wouldn't even meet criteria anymore for PTSD
Gotcha.
if you retested them. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't experience it. It's still there. It still could get
Right.
reactivated, but their symptoms are very low if we can get it moved out of that working memory, basically.
Exactly. And by the way, folks, if you guys have questions, the question box is at the top of the chat. You can type your question in there, and we will read the question and see if Sarge can give you an answer that is satisfying to your needs. So during SHTF, I mean, I pray that we never have to deal on a full scale where we're literally protecting our property and our family.
Yeah.
But if we do, and there, let's just say, Sarge, there is a firefight, and it doesn't matter who it is that gets unalived.
Hmm.
What are some of the things now after everything has so-called calmed down and you're kind of regrouping? What are some things that we could do?
So,
Um,
I mean, the best thing everybody can do is try to get people talking after an event, right?
mhm,
So pull everybody together if you can, or if people don't feel comfortable, so then have somebody talk to them in private, and you want to, like, tell me what you saw, tell me what you were experiencing, tell me what you were feeling. Feeling is important there. um and just and if you're an untrained person but you want to help,
mhm,
listen,
mhm.
validate, right? Help them feel safe as much as you can. Tell them that It's normal if they felt scared. It's normal if they're angry. It's normal if they have bad dreams tonight. It's normal if they are afraid to go outside tomorrow. Those are all normal reactions.
Right.
Um, just listen, validate, normalize. If you have access to somebody who's got another higher level of mental health training, try to connect them to that person if they need it. And not everybody's going to need it. Again, like
Right.
sometimes people will have a bad dream that night, but then it's okay. Like it's processed, it's gone where it needs to go. They might be fine. If they're having a bad dream for 2 weeks in a row, we got a problem. We know that now it's sticky, and we got to somehow get it unstuck.
Hmm.
If you don't have a therapist in your mutual assistance group, then somebody's got to try to get them talking and somehow get them to understand whatever that cognitive point is that's got it stuck, right? So
Hmm.
again, it's almost always, this is the key part for us therapists, is it's almost always how we think about ourselves in that situation. Okay.
Okay.
That's so important. And if you can
Right.
get them to reframe that in a way, it doesn't have to be positive, but like where there's no
Hmm.
self-blame or shame that they've somehow brought on themselves or whatever. If you can free them up from that and get them thinking in a different direction, that's probably going to help. Okay.
Right. So, and that's a great point. So, for those of us who have children,
Hmm.
what are some of the best resolutions for, if let's gosh, I hate talking gloom and doom, but
Yeah. No, go
we
ahead.
need
I mean, that's what we're doing this to try to help people. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So what happens if they witness a family member or
Mhm.
somebody they know get
Yeah.
unalived and they're frozen right
Yeah.
there?
So obviously in a situation like that, safety first, right? Like we want to make sure the scene
Hmm.
is safe and that kind of thing. But once that's determined, basically you're gonna follow the same steps.
Okay.
Talk to them, try to get them talking about their feelings. If they don't, maybe they'll draw their feelings. Maybe they'll act it out with dolls or something like that.
Hmm.
Validate it, normalize that it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be scared, it's okay to be angry, that those are all normal emotions, but you probably have to just like take it down to their age level. If they have
Yeah.
questions, answer them within the belief system of that family, right? Like, so if the
Yeah.
family is a Christian family, maybe you
Hmm.
could say, well, they're with the angels now or something like that, right?
Right.
um, if they're not, then maybe if they're non-believers, then maybe you're gonna have to say they're not feeling any pain, or they're at peace now or something like that.
Right.
Work within what's appropriate for that family, be respectful to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But take it down to their level, their age level. It's okay not to talk. Do you want to just sit and draw? Do you want to just color?
Hmm.
Do you want
Hmm.
to play in the sandbox? Do you want to
Right.
just go for a walk? Do you want to just pet the kitty?
Hmm.
Safety is probably, with little kids, safety is the biggest factor. If you can get
Right.
them feeling safe, they're probably going to open up once they get to that point, and they'll probably start talking about it.
Good. Good. We've got some questions.
Okay.
Scott Hummer asked, Sarge, can you explain the process to calm yourself
Yep.
if you go into panic mode, please?
Yep.
I heard you tell us on your channel, and I think it would be a great information for the chat.
Yeah. So when you feel, that's a great question. Thank you. When you feel like your own fight, flight, freeze is getting activated,
Hmm.
and if there's not a threat, okay, because basically what we're talking about now, when you get like a panic attack, what's happening with that is you're getting adrenaline. It's basically like fight, flight, freeze, except there's no threat. Okay.
Hmm.
So when people get that, it does not feel good. It feels like you are about to die. It feels like your heart's pounding or you're about to go crazy. Sometimes people feel like they're detaching from their body, like going like out of body. It's a
Hmm.
really unpleasant, tunnel vision. Hands can go numb. It's a really unpleasant altered state of consciousness. Um,
Right.
and despite all those horrible feelings, you have to try to tell yourself, I'm safe,
Yeah.
because it's your body's reaction is going to react to the thought. Okay. So if you say, oh crap, I feel like I'm going to die, your body says, oh, you're dying? you need more adrenaline. And so you're going to get another shot of adrenaline. It's just going to keep amping up and amping up. And so those of you if you've had a panic attack and you feel like it pyramids up, that's what's
Mhm.
happening. You're thinking it's going to be that you're going to die. And so your body says, oh, you need more adrenaline. Here you go. And it just keeps boosting it up, boosting it up, boosting it up.
Right.
And the only way to stop that, like without medications or something like this, the
Mhm.
only way to stop that is to convince your mind that you are not in danger. Okay.
Okay.
Easier said than done. I know, I get
Right.
it. I had panic attacks early in my life. I understand how hard it is, but I promise you, if you work at it, just like we were talking about building those new neural connections, your brain will eventually learn to respond to what you're telling it. Okay. It
Right.
might not happen the first time you try it. And the other thing to remember is like once you have adrenaline in your body, it has to metabolize. Okay.
Right.
So let's pretend this is coffee,
Mhm.
right? If I chug this thing, Trent, right? What's going to
Yeah.
happen?
Nothing.
No, no,
Well,
no.
that's me.
What's going to happen if I chug a whole thing of coffee? What's going to happen?
You're going to get a massive dose of caffeine.
Right. And then is there any way to stop that rush once it's happened?
No, you got to let it
I
process
got to
through the
ride it out.
body and go to the bathroom.
You got to ride it out, right?
Yeah.
So once you've got that shot of adrenaline, um, for most people, it's going to be about 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's longer, unfortunately, but for most people, it's about 15 minutes. It will pass. It will eventually stop. So no matter how terrorized you feel, like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I feel like my heart is pounding out of my chest. I feel
Right.
like I need to go to the hospital. I'm not trying to say like if you have chest pains, go to the hospital. I'm not trying to say that, but let's say it's like it's a without rule of law situation. It's a complete breakdown. There's no hospital you can go to,
Right.
and you're pretty sure it's a panic attack. Then you have to just like, okay, I know what this is. It's just adrenaline. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to go crazy. Let me breathe through this. Deep breaths will help a little bit. You can, if you've got something cold, you can hold something cold on your wrist or on your nose, and that kind of
Hmm.
shocks the system a little bit. So it kind of gets the mind to thinking about something else.
Right.
Um, you can try to distract with, a distraction toy like a fidget spinner or pace it out. When I had mine, I used to like to pace it out. Um, and ultimately it's gonna stop. It's not it can't go on forever. So if you remember that and you tell your mind we're safe, we're not really dying, that's the best thing you can do to start to get yourself out of it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Good. That's a good point. So my good friend Old Mutt, he said, does being married 3 times count as PTSD?
I definitely could. It definitely could, especially if you were in a bad situation. Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing of like if you're in a situation with somebody who's been verbally, physically, sexually abusive to you, that will definitely mess with you, because that's your partner, your marriage, husband, wife is supposed to be the person that most has your back. It's supposed to be the safest person to you. And so
Yeah.
if that's not happened, and also with kids who've grown up, unfortunately, in child abuse situations, your
Right.
parents were supposed to be the safest person in the safest people in your life. So when that's not happened, that's a terrible thing to experience. And you can heal from that, you can recover from that, but
Hmm.
give yourself some grace to know that like if you've lived through that, you've lived through something truly awful, and it's okay to say I'm really not feeling great now because of this experience.
Right.
My encouragement would be if you're going through something like that, please do talk to a professional therapist or a mental health coach or your pastor, or talk to
Mhm.
somebody that's got a little bit of training on helping you with that.
Good. Absolutely. So Mike, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival says, how do you deal with the leader of your group if they break down from the stress during a crisis event?
I would say probably whoever your second in command is needs to somehow pull them aside and tell them, listen, if you're not going to be able to, at least in front of people, it's okay to be angry, sad,
Yeah.
panicked like that. Those are human reactions. It's going to happen. But unfortunately, in leadership positions, those people sometimes have to compartmentalize it. And
Hmm.
my firefighters and police officers and paramedics and my soldiers that I've worked with get very, very good at compartmentalizing, because guess what? If you're an officer and you pull somebody over and that person starts yelling at you, what are you going to do? Go, boo hoo, please don't bully me.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So they learn to compartmentalize it. They get very, very good at it.
Mhm.
There's pros and cons to that, obviously. Like, we don't tell most people to compartmentalize their emotions like that,
Right.
but these are unique positions, right? And so your leader,
Yep.
he probably needs to either be able to compartmentalize it or step aside and let somebody else handle it that can.
Yeah. And I was just getting ready to ask you. So, you've compartmentalized a traumatic event.
They still got to deal with it later.
I was going to say, how do they get past that? They
Yeah,
got to still have to deal with it.
they got to deal with it later when it's safe and when they've got some privacy and somebody that they trust that can help
Mhm.
them work through that.
Mhm. Good, good,
Yep.
good, good. So, what is it? Fight, flight, or freeze?
Yeah,
Is that
there's a fourth one, fawn, that most people don't talk about. Fawn
uh-huh.
is basically like if I was in a dark alley and somebody tries to mug me, and I
Hmm.
say, "Here's my wallet. Here's my phone. Please don't kill me." Right? That's fawn. So
Okay.
you could fight the person, you could absolutely freeze, you could try to run, or you could try to appease. Those are your four. We don't usually
Okay.
talk about the fourth one that much, but yeah, it's a
Hmm.
thing. The other thing people need to know is you don't usually get to choose. It's chosen by your body. It's chosen by
Right.
your genetics.
Right. Yeah.
Unless
Um,
unless you've had good training, like police academy or boot camp or firefighters academy or something like that,
yeah.
paramedic school. That's the whole purpose of that, is to train past freeze and flight.
Gotcha. Yes. And my oldest brother was a lieutenant uh, on the local fire department, big city, and I've always asked him, what makes you want to run into a burning building? I
What's he
mean, I
say?
get, yeah. Well, he said, well, that's what I do. We're
Yeah,
we're here to save lives and help people,
yeah,
and I get all of that. But I'm like, dude, the psychology behind that is mind boggling
yeah,
because he's been in a backdraft.
yeah,
He's gone into a building or a house
mm,
and the floor fell out from under him and
yeah,
they had to jump out windows and this and that and he got an adrenaline rush from it. He didn't get
yeah,
scared.
yeah,
He's like, that's my job.
yeah.
We
So
just have
did you ever know somebody in middle school or high school who liked fighting? They like really enjoyed fighting?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the same thing. Some people like that adrenaline rush. Some people,
Hmm.
it feels good to them, especially if they're doing something with it, like going into a burning building. And then you take a job like a firefighter or a
Hmm.
paramedic. I've had paramedics tell me that they've taken all the drugs that you could possibly imagine, but there is no drug that feels as good as saving somebody's life.
And that's the same thing my brother said. He
Mhm.
he said, look, dude, when you save somebody's life, that's a whole different ball
There's
game.
Yeah, they say there's nothing else like that. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He told the story of this horrific car crash. And after they removed three unalived bodies from one of the cars, under the back seat, they heard this faint cry.
Oh,
All of them, I mean, they're ripping off doors,
yeah,
ripping out seats, couldn't find this precious one because there was a hole in the back seat that went into the trunk.
hmm.
Once they popped the trunk, there was a she couldn't have been no more than 2 years old.
Wow,
Not a scratch on her.
wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, that right there makes my job worthwhile.
Yeah, and it also kind of makes you wonder about faith, right? Like that
Yes,
there wasn't some divine intervention there for sure.
absolutely. Oh, it's that time, y'all. The cup just jangles out of my hand, and you can listen and you can hear the magic pour.
Hey, that's pretty cool. You've got a coffee fairy.
Dude, I got a coffee queen, and if
I
not,
love
you
it.
can hear that.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. Thank you. How are you? I love you. Everything okay? Okay. Tell everybody hi. The
Hello.
COO says hello to everybody.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And just to let y'all know, of course, your fur nephew got up and walked out of the room to follow mom. But yeah, I mean that's amazing. First time she did that, I was like, "Hey, you didn't have to, but you did. I appreciate you." And yeah, she just
Yeah,
keeps.
the wives are amazing, man. My
Yes.
wife earlier tonight, she said she's because I'm off work tomorrow.
Hmm.
She said, "Do you need something for lunch?" And she doesn't have to do that. I can make my own lunch. And I said, "Well, I
Right.
haven't really thought about it." She's like, "Well, I bought you some turkey and it's in the freezer and some rolls. I just thought I knew you were off on Friday. I thought you might want to make yourself a turkey sandwich." And I said, "You know what? I'm so grateful to have you. You're such a wonderful wife." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. I take good care of you."
That sounds like my wife, you know.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you bring purpose into this household.
Yeah.
And she just kind of looked at me. I said, "That's right. I said it. You bring purpose,
Yep.
and I appreciate you and
Yep.
thank
We're
you." Yeah.
blessed, man. We're blessed.
Yes, we are very much so. So during SHTF, I mean, we talked about the event happening, and you've got people either coming to your house, or you're going to get somebody, or you're going somewhere.
Hmm.
Just in that moment itself could cause PTSD based on what's going on around you.
Yeah. And basically, anytime your life is perceived, or people around you, that their life is perceived to be in danger. That's
Yeah.
all. That's the start of it. That doesn't mean that every time that happens that you're gonna develop trauma symptoms, but that's the part of the recipe basically.
Okay.
And then you get into those other factors of like, how did I connect with it, like, and how was I thinking about myself in that situation, right? And
Hmm.
there's certain incidents that we know in my field that are more likely. Obviously, child fatalities are very, very terrible.
Yeah.
Um, there's another thing though that I call the surprise factor, which is basically like, again, let's say you and I were firefighters,
Yeah.
and and I said to you, "Hey Trent, we got to go deal with this dead body in the other room." Okay, and
Yeah.
in your mind you might say, "Oh, this sucks," but you have time to kind of process up to it, right?
Right.
So your body starts to slowly drip in a little bit of that adrenaline, and we go out and we deal with it. But now let's say that I didn't tell you that, and you and I just step out in the hallway and there's a dead body there, and we didn't know that was going to be there. Okay,
Yeah. Right.
now your brain has to slam on the gas. Okay, it has to be like, because
Ooh.
we don't know what's going on. Did this guy have a heart attack? Is there an active shooter? What's
Hmm.
happening? All right, so your
Hmm.
brain now has to slam on the gas and give you a massive dose of adrenaline real fast, and
Right.
that's hard on the brain. That's just like with a car engine. You're not supposed to start up the car and slam on the gas. You're
Exactly.
supposed to let it run
Exactly.
a few seconds and then slowly ease the gas. Same
Yeah.
idea. It's hard on the brain when you do that, and that can cause some problems too.
And I was just going to ask you, so in an event like that, where,
Mhm.
like you said, we just come out in the hallway and boom, there's the body,
Yep.
and the brain instantly floods us with adrenaline, I'm assuming,
Right.
so we can take care of the situation.
Right. But also think about like what I just said there. So now instead of one cognition, you're probably juggling about 50, right?
Yes.
Because you're thinking, is there a shooter? Am I in trouble? Is this guy dead? Is Trent in trouble? Did Trent kill
Mhm.
this guy? Right? Like all those thoughts are like bam, bam, bam. That's really
Yeah.
hard on the brain. And again, the brain's trying to keep you alive. That's what's happening when it
Yes.
does that. It's trying to keep you alive.
Right.
But it's not, anytime when somebody gets surprised like that, if and I get one of my people come in and they're like, I had a bad call this weekend. Okay, tell me about it. Well, we got sent out to this place. We didn't really have a lot of good intel, and we got there and there's a rotted. We turned around the corner, we could smell it, but we didn't know what it was. And there's a rotting corpse with a knife sticking out of its belly. Right? And we're like, whoa, okay, I know we got a problem now. We're gonna have to process this one out.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that, I'm gonna ask you just hypothetically, in that instance, we walk out, boom, there's a body. And I just stand there and freeze.
Yep.
What do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah,
Assuming that I'm getting the control of my own body here at the same time.
right.
I'm first of all, I'm going to assess the situation. Are we safe? Is
Hmm.
if the scene is as safe as I can tell for the moment, and I'm
Right.
checking on you, like, what do you think's going on here? And I notice that you're kind of just like frozen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably start tapping you and calling your name, try to
Okay.
get you to look at me instead of the body, that kind
Right.
of thing. Then I might say, "You okay? All right, remember where we are. Check in with me. We got to deal with this now."
Right. And that exact same thing could be applied during a
Yep.
active incident on the homestead, at your house, on
Yep.
your
Call
in your
call their
neighborhood.
name if you see somebody that's frozen. Call their
Hmm.
name. Try to get them to look at you.
Hmm.
You can do the physical touch. Just kind of be careful because you don't know somebody if they switch from freeze to swim to fight.
Yeah.
There's going to be a couple seconds there where they might think you're the threat. So just be careful of
Right.
that. Just like I tell the spouses of my patients with PTSD, if they're having a nightmare, it's
Hmm.
okay to wake them up, but you need to give yourself plenty of space because they might come up swinging.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that unfortunately that does happen. Yeah, because
Y'all
in their dream they might be fighting somebody or something, right? And
correct.
like you wake them up, it's going to take them good 3 seconds to realize where they are now, and all they know is there's this person standing over them. They're probably going to take a swing.
Hush. That
So
the 80
I tell
80.
people if you wake them up, do like one of these, you know,
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's good. So you're out of arm's reach
get out of
just in
arm's
case.
reach and call their name. You can tapping the foot's a good idea. If you can do the
Yeah.
foot instead of up
Hush.
here.
Stand down. No, I'm talking to you. Don't you be back talking to me, boy. Yeah, and I Cole, sit down, sit, and thank you. Sorry about that, y'all.
Oh,
Y'all still
he's a
have
good
to,
boy. He's a good boy.
he is.
Yeah.
He does what he does, and
He hears my voice and he thinks there's a stranger in the house. It's smart.
he does.
Yeah.
He does. That's exactly correct. And so I think the COO just came down to get him and distract him so he goes about his business. Which, when mom's in the room, everybody behaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, that's a good point. So from a layman's viewpoint,
Mm.
these what would you say is the top three things that an individual can do that they notice something isn't right, either
Mm.
with a family member or
Mm.
their mutual assistant group after a traumatic event? What should they do?
Obviously, do your best to help them feel safe. Right.
Okay.
That's going to be because a person's not going to come out of their hypervigilance unless they feel safe. Okay. So
Okay.
you want to make sure that you can try as best you can, try to make them feel safe, get them talking, get them to slow their breathing, nice and slow in through the nose, out through the mouth, because that activates when we do that over repeatedly, slow our breath in through the nose and then hold it for a second and exhale through the mouth, nice and slow.
Hmm.
Pause for a second at the bottom before you do that. That activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is I'm simplifying it here, but
Yeah.
kind of like the off switch for fight, flight, freeze. Okay,
Okay.
that's
That's good.
I'm oversimplifying it there, but
Right.
yeah. And get them talking. How are you feeling? What did you see?
Hmm.
What did you notice? Because the more you can get it out of here and out
Hmm.
here, the
Yeah.
the better it's going to be for them to process and validate. Yeah, that was scary. I can understand. I understand why you felt scared. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. That's
Hmm.
validating. And when you validate that, that also helps with that little struggle in the
Yeah.
brain, the stickiness. It's like lubricating it a little bit, so that
Okay.
might help to free it up. So validating when we say that would just mean basically you can either just repeat back to them, or you can say, "Yeah, you're right. That's okay to feel like that." That's basically what you're doing.
Right. So, how do you deal with somebody that doesn't want to talk? They just say, I'm fine, and walk away.
Give them space. Give them space, and let them know if they change their mind that you'll talk about it with them. I think with any
Hmm.
kind of trauma, person having choice is really important because
Okay.
there's an element of trauma where choice was taken away from you. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
didn't have a choice to experience that; it just happened. And so I think by giving them that space, be like, it's okay if you don't want to talk right now, that's fine. If you change your mind, I'm around.
Yeah.
And create that, leave that door open that hopefully they take advantage of it.
Right. So, Little Lone Prepper asked if someone is on psych meds and can't get them in SHTF, what is the best way to help them?
Okay, so this is a great question. I am a therapist, not a doctor. So keep in mind what I'm saying is not medical advice. This is me speaking as to how I would handle somebody in my family that was in this situation. Okay.
Hmm.
If it was something like an antidepressant in my family, okay, so this, again,
Hmm.
legally speaking, this is not medical advice. I would try to help them taper down before they run out. Okay. Because
Okay.
running out, when people talk about the SSRIs and they're like, oh, SSRIs are so dangerous. So this kid was on SSRIs and he went and shot up this school, whatever. Okay. What they don't understand is that the main reason that the bad things are happening with SSRIs is because people suddenly stopped taking them or they're not taking them correctly. Okay.
Okay.
Because what SSRIs do is they regulate your serotonin and norepinephrine receptor sites in your brain. So your brain is now basically, it's getting regulated at a level that's supposed to keep it more even. And when you suddenly take that away, your brain can't regulate it by itself right away. It takes
Hmm.
time to get back to that. So the best example I can give for this is if you take melatonin to sleep, I would tell you don't take melatonin every single night. You can take it a couple nights in a row and then you should be not taking it and cycling off, because if you take melatonin every single night, your body will stop producing its own melatonin, and then you're basically, you have to take it to sleep and your body won't have, and if you don't have it, you're not going to be able to sleep. Testosterone too, for guys that take testosterone, if once you start taking testosterone, your body is going to get to a point eventually where it says, oh, we got a lot of testosterone, we don't need this to make it anymore, and so it will stop producing its own testosterone. And
Mm.
so SSRIs function in somewhat similar way in that if for a person's brain to regulate those serotonin receptors
Hmm.
without the medication is going to
Hmm.
take time. And so tapering it for my family member personally
Yeah.
would probably be safer than just like take it until you run out and then you're suddenly cut off. Okay.
Right.
Now, antipsychotics, if you got a family member with like schizophrenia or something like that, I have bad news for you. There is nothing in nature that I know of, and I do foraging and I've taken a lot of classes on this and I've researched it. There is
Hmm.
nothing in nature that I know of that is going to replicate what an antipsychotic medication can do for a person who has like schizophrenia or something like that. So, for those people, I would say work with your doctor or somebody like Jace Medical to stockpile as much as you possibly can.
There you go. That's a good idea. Jace Medical. Yes. Absolutely, yo. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, and the two drugs that um, I'm going to add three to this. There's
Okay.
three drugs that can kill you if you're addicted to them and you suddenly stop. That I know of. That I know
Hmm.
of. Okay,
Hmm.
one is alcohol. Believe it or not. Okay, so if a person's a
Yeah.
heavy duty alcoholic and they're
Hmm.
drinking a ton of liquor every day and they
Hmm.
suddenly can't get it, they're in danger. Their body is in danger. Okay. Um,
Wow.
Two, so for those people, I hate to say this, but you better have a plan. Um,
Yeah.
you need to have a plan in case you suddenly can't get it anymore. Now, that being said, I'm sure in the apocalypse, I am certain that somebody's going to be making moonshine. I
Yes.
certain of that. All right, so it's
Exactly.
two benzodiazepines, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the world who are on benzodiazepines. Typically prescribed for anxiety.
Okay.
Um, you can die if you've been on a high dose of benzodiazepines for a long period of time and you suddenly don't get it, you can die from that. The third one, which I've only known a couple cases of this, has
Mm-hmm.
been very high level, and I mean very high levels of opiates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very high level, like fentanyl,
Yeah.
multiple times a day, right? Somebody who's using it that much, if they don't get it, there is a danger. There is a danger.
Mm-hmm.
For most people who have an opiate addiction, most people are not going to die, but they are going to go through horrible withdrawals, and they're going to think they're dying, uh,
Right.
hallucinating, shaking, vomiting, diarrhea, flu-like symptoms, and it can go on for a very long time. Very. In fact,
So
I
with
think
some,
they showed that on The Walking Dead, right?
yes,
The California one,
yeah,
the young guy. I don't remember the character's name. Yeah,
I don't either.
yeah.
So would in that case would Narcan help or subside or
No,
nothing?
Narcan's going to help if somebody overdoses, and I do
Okay.
recommend people have that as part of
Mm-hmm.
your first aid kits. If somebody overdoses on an opiate, then that's when you would use that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, that's not going to do anything for withdrawal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Y'all heard it first, and these are the things that we need to think about because
yeah,
you don't know who or what you're going to run across, not only in your group and your family, but just driving down the road or walking on patrol during SHTF.
well, and think about like if somebody is addicted to opiates or benzodiazepines or um, cocaine or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden that supply is getting dried up because
Yes.
everything's breaking down. Everything's breaking down, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get desperate, and it's going to be those people, at least until they get clean from it. They
Mm-hmm.
could potentially be very, very dangerous because
There you go.
there's certain levels of addiction where people will kill to get a fix. If they think
Right.
you have pain medicine in your house and they have an opiate addiction, make
Mm-hmm.
no mistake, if they're in the throes of withdrawal, they will hurt you to get that.
Right. Exactly. So that's why we talk about don't tell everybody everything you got
Yep.
because you never know who's listening, what's listening, or who's near you that would want to come and take it from you.
Yep. Yeah,
There,
I agree. I think people should keep Narcan in their house. Your kid could accidentally get exposed to it at the playground.
yeah,
Unfortunately, you know.
unfortunately, in these days, that is not uncommon.
Yep.
So, you guys, if you can get Narcan, I know some of the police stations and clinics give it away free.
Yep.
Does Narcan have an expiration to it?
It does.
Okay.
I will tell you again, not medical advice. If it
Mhm.
was my family member that got exposed, and I had one that was a year or two expired, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to use it. You
Yeah,
know, if
yeah,
if if they're if they're on seizing on the ground and foam is coming out of their mouth, I'm gonna hit them with the expired Narcan.
yeah. I'm with you. I would do exactly the same thing. Um, let's see. Do we have any more questions in the chat? Nope, we don't. But
Those are
this is great
great questions.
information. And first of all, thank you for agreeing to do this because when, like I said in the first live stream, I never thought of this until a friend of mine brought it to my attention
Yeah.
because it just never settled in my brain during SHTF. What about PTSD?
Yeah. Well, again, look at Katrina, man, right? We were
Yeah.
talking backstage about that 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 gave a lot of people PTSD, and a lot of people are still dealing with it, and Hurricane Helene too. And those are, we're talking about like hurricanes. Imagine if we had a civil war or something like that,
Mhm.
I mean, you pretty much have to assume that like everybody in the country, if it gets that bad, everybody in the country is going to be dealing with either anxiety, PTSD, or depression, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get one of the three, if not a combination.
Right. Right. And again, welcome in everybody that came in. Um, so all of the wildfires we've had across the country over the years, same thing. You know, your house burnt down, it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just standing in the driveway looking at the rubble.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Yeah, that's it's one of my fears, man. You know, we live in
Yeah.
flood zone here, flood zone prone area here, and
Okay.
you know, the rational part of my brain knows that it's just a house, it's just stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not a person. My life matters. My wife's life matters much more than that, but still
Mm-hmm.
sucks. You know, still sucks, and you're gonna have to, if you're in a situation like that, you're gonna have to probably need some help from somebody, if not FEMA, or hopefully you've got some good neighbors and you've got some family members that are going to help you out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I can probably, say this. Nobody in the chat here trusts FEMA for nothing.
Yeah, I get it. I
And
get
I
it.
understand it, but you better have some loved ones, like you said, friends, a group, your mutual assistant group, whatever, that you can lean on and talk to and share these feelings. And I'm with you. It's just stuff,
Right.
but it is stuff that we've spent our entire lives acquiring, taking care of, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And now it's all gone.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hard thing. I know. I mean, I've dealt with people who've lost everything in a fire, and
Hmm.
sometimes they develop hoarding behaviors because of that. You
Yeah.
know, if you've lost everything, then you have a fear of losing things again. Sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Isn't that what a prepper is?
Yeah. A lot of people say that. I don't think of
Right.
prepping as hoarding, but a lot of people say that. Yeah.
I'm with you. Same here.
Yeah.
I don't either.
You know, the
Um,
wildfire thing you talked about there for a second. Imagine, I think a lot of people don't think about this, but we should. Is if the system breaks down, nobody's coming to put that fire out, right?
right.
Everything's gonna
Right.
burn. Everything's gonna burn. If my city floods and there's no first responders, nobody's coming. You know, and that's, you know, I can prepare for a hurricane and being without power and things like that, but when you talk about like that kind of, that's now it's survival. It goes beyond prepping. Now it's a survival mentality.
Yeah.
It's a survival skill. You know, when you think like you could lose everything and nobody might, and maybe nobody helps you if you know.
Right.
This
Right.
is why it's good to have a good group, right? Have a good mutual assistance group.
You got that right. So, South Florida, Douglas, good to see you. Welcome in, my brother. Thank you for joining us. He asks, for you and Sarge, what's your main concern when SHTF hits?
You go first.
For me, it's having the homestead overran and outnumbered
Mm-hmm.
by whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can call them marauders, gangs, groups, and we're in the midst of a firefight, and we have to make the tough decision to flee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now you're vulnerable once you're outside of your homestead.
Correct.
More
And
more
that,
so. More so.
yes, that's my biggest, not fear, but that's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I live in the city, South Florida, and we already in times of peace we already have a gang problem. We already have a gang problem,
Mm,
and we hear gunshots from our house several times a week. We know what that is. The news doesn't cover it.
mm-hmm.
If you ever seen the movie Boys in the Hood, they actually talk about that. Like
Yep.
when there's a shooting in a gang neighborhood, the news isn't going to cover it. You're not going to hear
No,
about
absolutely not.
it. So mine is similar to what Trent is saying, that if it gets to a point where it doesn't appear like order is going to be restored, and if what I've got for mutual assistance does not look like enough,
Mm-hmm.
then me and Mrs. Sarge got to bug out. And
Yeah.
we have places to go. We have people that can take us in, but getting from point A to point B would be tricky.
Right. So we got a question that came in. Ghost Lincoln, my man, my personal moderator, my guy, said it's not truly a question, but I will say this. It's awesome to have Prepping with Sarge up on the panel with Vision, and the intel is priceless.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. You're right,
get you
Ghost.
get you guys, if you get yourself a therapist for your mutual assistant groups, and if you can't recruit a therapist, then try to at least get like a mental health coach or a pastor who's had some counseling training or something like that.
Hmm.
Would be a good idea. You guys can everybody can go take mental health first aid too, right? You don't have to have a master's degree and a license for that. Everybody can
Really?
take mental health first aid, and you will learn some basic skills for how to help somebody who's depressed, self-aliving, considering
Yeah.
self-aliving themselves.
Yeah.
YouTube hates that word.
Yes, they
Um,
do.
I got myself in trouble one
Okay.
time for saying that. Uh, and dealing with the after effects of trauma and stuff like that. So mental health first aid, if you Google it in your area, they sometimes offer it for free.
Hmm.
Sometimes churches offer it. Sometimes mental health centers offer it. It's a standardized like 1 day course, and you'll learn some good basic skills. It's a good thing for preppers to have in their resume. For
That's awesome.
yeah,
I never even freaking thought about that, but
yeah,
yes, and thank you for that.
of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Rule 2IC, my man, how you doing today, bruh? Thank you for the question. He said, if a large scale SHTF event happens, giving a large amount of your mag PTSD, can an untrained person help three, four, five people at once?
Do the best you can. Do the best you can. Again, the components that I would say that you want to be doing is uh, as much as you can increase safety, get people talking, so it's getting out of here and on and out into here. Validate, normalize, and if you catch somebody saying things like "this was my fault" or "what if we had done something different" or
Mhm.
"I'm worthless in a firefight" or whatever, uh, try to get them to think about that differently. It's tricky. Sometimes there's another technique we do called Socratic questioning, where you basically say, "Okay, so let's play this out. What if you had gone left? How do you know things would have been better? What if you had gone right?
Mhm.
How do you know things would have been better? Maybe it would have been worse."
Mhm.
And all you're doing there is you're trying to get them to like change their change their thinking a little bit and create that new neural pathway. Um, breathe. Remember the breathing thing
Yeah.
that helps to get the parasympathetic nervous system activated. Um, so yeah, you can do the best you can, help what you can. Safety with if you want to remember it easily, the way that I learned this was safety and security, SS,
Hmm.
ventilate, validate, VV, PP, prepare and predict. What's going to come next? You might have
Ooh,
nightmares. You might have
yeah.
flashbacks. It's okay to keep talking about this. It's okay
Hmm.
to feel angry tomorrow. It's okay to be sad tomorrow, but don't suffer this alone. We're in this together, so let's talk about it together. So SS, safety, security. Sorry, SS, safety, security. VV, ventilate, validate. PP, prepare and predict.
There you go. You got it, folks. And that's great advice. So, South Florida Douglas asked again, question: what do you tell your family who refuses to prep?
Mm. All right, I'll go first this time.
Okay.
So I'm lucky that Mrs. Sarge has got a pretty good mindset for prepping. She grew
Hmm.
up with it in a different way than I did.
Hmm.
So she's on board with it in different ways. I think she complements parts of my prepping game that are probably stuff I wouldn't think about. And I compliment parts of her game that she probably wouldn't think about. But if she didn't, then I would, because I think my first wife was not into this at all. Then you do what you can to prepare for your family. You do you with the best you can with the budget and space and time that
Yeah,
you have. Okay, because
exactly.
you can't force somebody to get on board, right?
No,
Um,
absolutely not.
Now you can take advantage of little opportunities, right? Like if you lose power because you had a big storm, what if all of a sudden somebody said, "Hey, I wonder where all those flashlights went?" And just like let them sit and suffer with it for a minute, and then be like, "Oh, that's right, I have the flashlights because I prepared."
Because I
Don't be
prepared. Yes. You
Yeah,
hold it down. I'll be right back. Keep talking about the
you got it.
topic, and then I'll give mine when I come right back.
You got it. You got it. Yeah. So, don't be a jerk about it. Of course, it's your family, right? But I think you can use those little opportunities to be a teachable moment of like, hey, this is why I did this. This is why, I bought extra flashlights and batteries and candles. Um, or like, this is why I filled the gas tanks before the storm. Look what happened. We had a storm come in, and now none of the gas stations in the area have gas. Just use it to create those teachable moments. But the thing is, at the end of the day, if somebody is absolutely not wanting to get on board, they think it's a waste of time and money or something like that, you might not be able to convince them. If you truly love your loved ones, it's not worth splitting with them over that. So that you do the next best thing, and you're going to try to prepare with your time as best as you can with your resources and your space. And I firmly believe, and as a therapist, I talk to couples about this, that yes, you should probably be paying your bills out of a mutual account, but it's also okay for you to have your own spending money and for your spouse to have her own spending money. And maybe
Mhm.
you choose to use yours on your preps. Okay. That's your spending money to use how you want. Okay. So I hope that helps a little bit.
There you go. And my answer is, what do you tell your family who refuses to prep? Well, I know that's going to happen. So we personally we prep for the kids, and I prep for my mom, and my wife, my in-laws are preppers. So when the COO and I first talked, and I showed her everything I'm doing and blah 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 and yada yada yada, she was like, "You got to be kidding me! My parents are preppers and this and that." So I'm sharing information. My mother-in-law sharing information. Father-in-law back and forth. But I've said enough to siblings and nieces and nephews to the point where I'm like, if you show up at my house,
Mm-hmm.
well, some of them don't know how to get here, so don't have to worry about that. But you better bring enough for you and whoever you bring. If not, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm dead serious.
When people say to me, "Oh, I'm coming to your house when things get bad or whatever," I say, "Well, first of all, you need to remember I live in the city, so there's a chance that I might not be there. I might already be gone. But
Mm-hmm.
if you think you can get to me, then
Mm-hmm.
this is what I want you to bring." And I give them a list. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be prepared that you might be living in a tent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you're going to be working for your food. We all are. You're going to be
Right.
gardening, foraging, hunting, fishing, you know, and nobody is not working. Nobody is not
Exactly.
working. If you've got if you bring a family member that can't work, then you are responsible for their part of the
Yep.
stuff too.
And I've always said there is one person that will not have to work, and that's my mom, because she's going to be doing mom and grandma stuff that is better than what anybody else can do.
Well,
You
that's
know.
it, right? Like, so some people, maybe if they're not physically able to work the garden, but can they
Yeah.
watch kids? Can they
Yeah.
entertain kids? Can they sew?
Yep. And
Right?
cook
Right?
and
Yep. So
yeah.
there's almost always something, unless somebody's got like they're bedridden and they've got dementia or something like that. That's a
Right.
whole different situation, right? And we're gonna do our best to try to help those people, of course. But what I'm talking about is like able-bodied people who show up and they think they're just gonna leech off your food. You
Yeah.
need to deal with those people, however you plan to deal with them.
Yep.
Um, I've laid out expectations, right? Like
Same
I,
here.
you're welcome to come if you think you can get to me,
Yes.
but it's not going to be sit back and eat all of Tom's canned spam. It's going to
Woo.
be you're going to be helping me garden and forage and defend the property and everything
Yep.
else.
You're gonna be pulling guard duty.
Yep,
It could be 2 hours, it could be 4 hours, it could be 8 hours, it could be 16 hours.
yep. You're going to
Yeah.
be cleaning the cloth diapers.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. What are you doing?
If plumbing's not working right, somebody's going to have to take latrine duty.
There you go.
And they're
Or
gonna-
and or dig the latrine.
Yep.
Yeah. But
So there's no free ride except for
no.
maybe like, like we said, somebody who's like bedridden and got dementia or something like
Mhm,
that. If
mhm.
you've got somebody like that, you need to make your plans for how you're going to help them as well. But
Exactly. And my mom is perfectly capable of literally doing anything, but I'm like, nope, she stays in the house. She's going to be, you know, uh, as I call the COO, the lunch lady. She's going to be the one that's naturally going to make sure everybody there is okay. Are you hungry? What do you need? That's her thing.
mhm.
So I'm gonna let her do her thing while we divvy up and do the rest of the stuff
Yep.
for sure. Um, man, it's nine. Oh my goodness. So
We had a
I'm
good
gonna
one,
leave
man.
this, Sarge. I mean, we could stay here for another hour, but
Yeah.
but I know your time's precious, my time, and all these amazing people's time is precious. I'm gonna leave you with the last words.
All right. Well, I want to say, first of all, awesome questions, chat. Really, really good questions. I really appreciate that. And Trent, thank you for having me on again to talk
Yeah.
about this. Again, I think mental health issues are a topic that I think the community needs to be talking about. This as part. It's not going to not be an issue. It is if we have even like a temporary event like Katrina or Helene. You are
Hmm.
going to be dealing with mental health issues with those situations. So if you talk about something bigger, like a without rule of law or something like that, magnify that, right? And the people
Yeah.
who got out of, um, the breakdown of the Soviet Union and who've talked about it, it was miserable, miserable, right?
Right.
And lots of people end up choosing to unalive themselves because it's so miserable. So
Hmm.
have a plan for how we're going to handle that for your mutual assistance group is a great thing to do. So thank you for letting us talk about that. And can I plug for my thing tomorrow?
Absolutely.
So
First of all, before you do that, could one of my amazing moderators please again drop Prepping with Sarge? Teresa just did.
you just
Drop a
did.
link to his channel, folks. If you have not subscribed to Prepping with Sarge, you are missing out on tons of stuff. Go ahead, Sarge.
Yeah, so I'm usually live on Friday nights, 7:45. I will be live tomorrow. I don't want to spoil it, but I think I have made the best thumbnail that I have made in my 5 years on YouTube.
Uh oh.
Uh,
Uh
it,
oh.
it's a funny one. It's a funny one.
I
Uh,
got to see now. I got to go look at it.
well, it's not up yet. It's not up yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I may get a copyright strike on this one, so I'm waiting till I'm waiting to the very last second to put it up.
Okay.
Uh, it's I'll just say this: we're going to be talking about current events, and we're going to be talking about how easily we are distracted. Okay, bread and circuses, basically.
Mm-hmm.
How easily we
Mm-hmm.
are. That's the topic for tomorrow. I'll be live at 7:45, and I'm live almost every Friday night at 7:45. So I'd love to have people
Okay.
come hang out in the chat. We have a good time.
Absolutely. And I will be there if the COO cancels date night,
Okay,
because our date nights are Fridays. And if not, I'll be there. And y'all in the chat, show up. Please
I'd
show
love to
up
have you.
and just go over there and tell Sarge that Vision forced you over here and held a scalding hot cup of coffee over your head and made you click the button to join his live stream. Okay?
I'd love to have you. Come on over and hang
Please
out.
do. And by the way, folks, hit the like button if you have not. Share this out because you never know what we may come across during SHTF. Then after we're done with the live stream, just come back and leave a comment. I
Mhm.
don't care if you come back and say more coffee, please. But I appreciate everybody. And remember this, y'all. First of all, you guys are awesome. Because without people like you folks and Sarge and other people from the amazing prepping community, we all learn from everybody,
Yeah.
plain and simple. And at the end of the day, remember this: keep on prepping because your family depends on you and it depends on your life. God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Mayhemic Thursday, and we will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
The time is now.